to tell you a little bit about the end of the breakaway roping is how do I tie my rope on and how do I know how long to have it or anything else about it. The type of rope that you're going to use depends on how big you are and how strong you are. Generally, smaller people will use like a 9.0. There's all kinds of different brands. 9.5 is a little bit bigger. Stronger people are going to tend to use more of a 10.0 or a 10.5. Okay, here's some examples of some different color strings that different associations or secretaries will be giving you. A lot of associations require you to use their string. All of them are stout nylon because it helps it break high up in the air, and it assures that the roper isn't going to break the string with their hand when they pull their slack. They tend to come in different lengths as well. Okay, I'm going to show you how I like to tie a string on. I fold it in half, and in the folded area I stick the rest of it through. It's easy, it's quick, I can do it, and it eliminates it slipping. So that's how I like to do it. The other way people sometimes tie strings is to tie it through like this, and that's fine, only if you don't have it next to the knot it can slip down when it actually goes to break off, and it might cause a little delay in the break. Most associations require you to have the string at the end of your rope. That didn't used to be. You used to be able to tie it anywhere you wanted according to the speed of your calf, but now they require you to tie it at the end next to the knot. You can put any color rag you want on these ropes. I tend to put different color rags on. I like the bright green at night because I'm hoping that maybe it'll get me a better flag because the flagger can see it better. You can buy any of this color ribbon at a hardware store in rolls like this. It's very inexpensive, or you can use your favorite handkerchief or whatever you'd like. But it's very important that you check in with the secretary and check on two things. One of them is the legal rag color required. In the state of Colorado, they require a white rag, and you need to take this other stuff off. I'll show you what a white rag would look like. Go ahead and hold this. You would have to remove all these other colors if you were in the Colorado at an amateur rodeo. And put a white rag like that on, because that's what their rule requires. You can use a white handkerchief, something bigger than that if you wish, but just make sure that you know your rules on the color of the rag. The other thing that you need to do when you check in with the rodeo secretary is find out what your legal catches are. The Arizona High School Rodeo Association and the State of Arizona Amateur Rodeo Association is catch as catch can when it passes over the head, but almost all other associations, including college, are bell collar catch only, which means that the rope has to be around the neck to break away, or else it's a no time. When you're trying to decide how long to have your rope or where to cut it off at to rope, what you need to determine is if this was tied right at a certain spot like this, and for right now I'm just going to wrap it around my saddle horn so that it stays there, is you need to have this part where it doesn't touch your hand at all, so it doesn't affect you being close up to the saddle horn. And then you need to have about one coil in your hand like this. Then you're going to put your reins. Okay, now it depends how far you can reach. I can reach a long ways, so I sometimes like my ropes a hair longer than somebody else because I know I can throw it a long ways. If you tie it too short, your rope's not going to get there, so make sure it's better a little too long than a little too short. This is about standard with most girls. We have the rope at the end and about one coil in our hand, because nowadays people are fast and you better not have your rope too long or it's going to take longer. Okay, I'm going to show you how to tie your string around the saddle horn. It's nice if you have someone to help you, but if you don't, you just got to get by. But I'll show you the important part of it. All right, I'm going to show you how to tie your string on. The most important thing is that it's really tight and that it doesn't slip. So I do the first one, and you can tie it, and then you can ask someone, I got it really tight, you can ask someone to put their finger there, or if you're by yourself, you put your own finger there. I like to tie a square knot. That's a whole nother video on how to tie a square knot. That knot happens to be square. If you don't know how to tie a square knot, it's okay, just tie multiple knots. And if you tie enough of them, it doesn't matter if they're square or not, but always tug on your own rope and make sure that it doesn't slip. And oftentimes when you ride in the box, the flagger, the judge, will come up to you and he'll yank on your rope to make sure it doesn't slip. Most judges at most rodeos do that. Okay, I'm going to show you how to cut your rope off to the right length. If you know someone that has a rope that's the right length, then borrow theirs to cut to yours. If not, figure it out like I showed you and just put a little piece of tape on the end. When I buy a new rope, and I use my old rope to use it to cut my distance, and I'm going to show you a little bit how I do that. This is going to be my supposedly new rope, and this is the one of the length that I want. So I'm going to throw that one out there, throw this one out there, and I'm just going to make them where they're the same length. So I'm going to make sure that this is perfectly the same so that my rope length is exact, and I'm going to work on my way down there to the end of this rope till I get to the end. Okay, come this way. All right, now this is the important part. Don't mess up here and accidentally cut your rope too short, because it takes a bit to get a knot in there and keep it the same length. So I'm going to put a piece of tape exactly where this knot is, so that I make sure my rope doesn't end up shorter than this knot, because I know this rope is on the short end anyway, and I definitely don't want it any shorter than that rope. So I put a little mark right where I want the tape to be. Now what I'm going to do, and I'll show you in a minute how I'm going to cut it, but I'm going to cut it about 6 inches further down from where I marked it, and then I'll show you about the knots. Now that I've cut this rope off, I want to show you how I go about tying knots. Now there's cool things to do with knots, like crown knots, Turk head knots, and if you know someone that knows how to tie them, or you want to learn how to tie them, go for it, because they're all cool. Okay, I'm going to finish unraveling this. Actually, you can leave it between 6 inches and a foot long. It makes it a little easier. The more end you have, you can always cut it off later. The easier it is. So go to your tape, and then just come around. You're going to make all these. This is a 4-strand rope. You're going to make all these strands come around and go through the hole, and then you're going to pull it tight like this, just about the same spot where your mark is, and then you're going to slowly pull down all these one at a time tight until you get a nice tight knot. You can get someone to tie a Turk's head or a crown knot or anything like that. They're all good, but if you don't know how to tie any of those, this works just fine. And then you can take your knife and cut it off here if you don't want a bunch of end, or you can leave the end on, whatever you prefer. I'd probably cut mine right here. And then I have a nice tight knot, and there I go. I'm ready to rope.